This is the next matchup. This is the one that I'm eager to see. This is it. The guy that went number 2 in the Heisman Trophy voting, Ashton Jeanty, who has, I think it's 2,497 yards.
I think he's like 130 yards from
Yeah,
breaking Barry's record.
130 for breaking Barry's single season rush record. I mean, look, we know that outside of Ashton Jeanty, look, they're weak by the standards of the rosters that are left in the
Yeah.
playoff. They are kind of the weakest all around. Madsen at QB is not the best. There's no real notable wide receivers. The line is not the best, but still, they've been able to dominate and continue to have success throughout the season. But I just saw Penn State manhandle SMU. And now SMU helped them. Don't get it twisted.
Mhm.
You know, Jennings definitely gave him a couple lollipops and, you know, let them do their thing. And he was, you know, he was struggling for some of that game. I felt for him. But at the same time, you know, I think they dominated that game. Can Boise State, like, how we feeling? Can that run game really start moving on this defense?
This is a very interesting matchup because with neutral site games, road games in general, there's two things that really transfer over well: running games and defense.
Mm-hmm.
Running game for both these teams and the defense for Penn State. I think you look at it, it's hard to doubt Boise State because they went toe to toe with Oregon. Like you take Ohio State out of the picture, they played Oregon the closest. Yep. So, it's impossible to doubt Jeanty and what he's able to do. And the other thing you look at with these neutral site games is the travel. Mm-hmm. It's a hell of a lot closer for Boise State than it is for Penn State. Penn State's coming across the country because they're in Arizona. So, and that's the other thing with the Rose Bowl too. Oregon is much closer. They have to go across from like north to south, but Ohio State's got to come from the opposite corner of the country all the way down. So, as far as this Penn State Boise State game goes, it's really going to depend on Ashton Jeanty. If he can run the ball, control the pace of the game, the offensive line hasn't been great all year. So he's going to have to do it himself, essentially. Yeah. But if Penn State can lock him down, it's over very fast.
Oh, yeah. And that's I fear that if that happens, then this one will be kind of worse than the SMU game.
Yeah.
Like I just don't. I mean, I think they all go as Ashton Jeanty goes, and I've seen, you know, Madsen have some games, and I've seen the defense show up and everything like that when Ashton Jeanty might not have been having a 200-yard game. You know what I mean? When he was, you know, struggling to get 100. But at the same time, Penn State has proven one thing is that they are for real. They got dogs in a lot of key places, especially on that defense. And listen, that tight end, but one of the best tight end in the country. I mean, I'm hoping that Ashton Jeanty can do something, and I'm hoping that, you know, Boise State has that David and Goliath mentality. But just as I say that, they come out with in social media saying they're wearing the
exact same combo.
Yep, that they wore.
That they won every other Fiesta Bowl in.
Exactly, it's in the Fiesta Bowl. This is commonplace. Can we see magic? Will we see magic?
I think the clock runs out on them. I think it strikes 12. But there's another interesting way to look at this. Is we just said Jeanty has to get going. But for Penn State, their main goal is going to be to try and take Jeanty out of the game by getting up quick, realistically. Mm-hmm. The way to do that is pass.
Yeah.
We've said time and time again, if you rely on Drew Aller, that's trouble.
Uh-huh.
So it's going to be interesting to see, do they just try and essentially do what Michigan did all year last year and use the quarterback sparingly, but pound the ball, control the rock, and just try and impose their will and just get ahead slowly, progressively, and then just essentially boa constrictor them into a certain style of game,
Yeah.
or are they going to try and use Aller and get out quick and see what they can do there? So it's an interesting stylistic matchup for sure.
Yeah. Let me see. Johnny said Penn State's defense has to do what they do. Absolutely. But I'm so eager to see it because for if for nothing else, can you see? Yep. There it is.
There we go.
Barry Sanders jersey. That is my guy, man. My favorite. One of my top 3 all-time favorite players. Love everything about him in the pros and in college. So he has the record 2,628 yards. I think it is
something like that. Yeah.
Like, so, and I think Jeanty, like we said, is like 130 or some odd yards away from that record. I want to see it broken. Barry Sanders is good with it. I got a matter of fact I got a Barry Sanders Rookie of the Year card.
Nice.
Right next to my TV. So like I love this guy, and I love to see somebody that has equaling that, because I never thought I'd see that done. We see years where guys got 23, 24, 100 yards, 2,500 yards, but never at this level. And I want to see it. And when I look at that defense, I'm like, oof, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
It's going to be rough.
Well, I mean, you look at it with Genty's record chasing too. Everyone's saying that he's got all these extra games. This will be game 14 on the season.
Ooh.
But he sat out 8 different quarters due to it being blowout. So you take 2 games away. Realistically, this is the 12th game. Barry had 11.
Come on.
So it's almost the same, realistically, if you take those 8 quarters out of it, that he didn't see a snap.
Oh, man. Oh, man. I want to see history. So I will definitely be tuned in on this one.